Mercury in the 8th house of a natal chart is akin to having a detective, a surgeon, and a mystic all sharing the same headspace. While Mercury is traditionally the planet of light conversation and surface-level logic, the 8th house, the realm of Scorpio, Pluto, and the great mysteries, pulls that energy into the deep end. This is not a placement for small talk, it is a placement for the big talk regarding life, death, sex, and the hidden mechanics of the human psyche. The mind is a probe. Individuals with this placement don't just observe the world, they X-ray it. There is an innate restlessness in the mental process that refuses to accept things at face value. If you tell a Mercury in the 8th person that everything is fine, they will immediately begin scanning your micro-expressions and tone of voice to find the lie. They are natural researchers, often drawn to fields like psychology, forensics, investigative journalism, or the occult. The mind here operates as a tool for unearthing secrets, and there is a profound satisfaction found in solving a complex puzzle that others are too afraid to touch. Communication and secrecy. Mercury's function is to communicate, but in the 8th house, it learns the power of silence. These individuals are often strategic with their words. They understand that information is a form of currency, or even a weapon, and they are unlikely to reveal their full hand until they trust the recipient. When they do speak, their words tend to be penetrative and intense. They have a knack for saying exactly what needs to be said to get to the heart of a matter, which can be incredibly healing in a therapeutic context but rather intimidating in a casual one. There is often a dark or dry wit present, a gallows humor that finds levity in subjects others find taboo. Intellectualizing the intangible. The 8th house governs other people's resources, which includes everything from inheritance and taxes to the emotional baggage of a partner. With Mercury here, the native may have a sharp mind for finance, investment, and complex contracts. They can navigate the fine print of life with ease. More abstractly, they intellectualize the process of transformation. They want to understand the why behind human desire and the mechanics of the soul. This can lead to a lifelong fascination with death, not necessarily out of morbidity, but out of a genuine intellectual curiosity about the ultimate transition. They seek to map the transition from the physical to the metaphysical. The shadow side. The challenge of Mercury in the 8th house lies in the potential for mental obsession or paranoia. Because the mind is always looking for the hidden meaning, it can sometimes invent one where it doesn't exist. There can be a tendency toward suspicious thinking or a fixation on dark topics that leads to mental exhaustion. If the energy is poorly dignified, the native might use their verbal prowess to manipulate others or uncover secrets simply to gain an upper hand. Learning to balance deep investigation with mental rest is the primary developmental task here. Synthesis of depth. Ultimately, this placement suggests a person who possesses a piercing intellect. They are the ones who can look into the shadows and describe what they see with clarity. They bridge the gap between the conscious mind, Mercury, and the unconscious depths, 8th house. In a world that often prizes superficiality, Mercury in the 8th house serves as a reminder that the truth is rarely found on the surface, it is buried, and it requires a sharp, fearless mind to dig it up. When Mercury in the 8th house filters through the 12 signs, the detective takes on a different uniform. The core drive remains the same, probing the depths, but the method of investigation changes based on the elemental and modal quality of the sign. The fire signs, the bold inquisitors. Aries, the mind is a psychological battering ram. These individuals are blunt about taboos and will confront secrets head-on. They have a fast intuition, often experiencing sudden flashes of insight into other people's motives. Leo, there is a dramatic flair to their investigations. They may be drawn to the power aspect of the 8th house, using their intellect to gain authority or command attention in intense situations. They are loyal keepers of secrets. Sagittarius, the seeker of ultimate truth. They look at death and taxes through a philosophical or legal lens. They want to understand the big picture of the afterlife and are often the most optimistic about dark subjects. The earth signs, the practical analysts. Taurus, a very grounded approach to the occult or complex finances. They are the masters of other people's money and physical legacies. Mentally, they are stubborn and will not stop digging until they find a tangible, proven answer. Virgo, the ultimate forensic mind. They notice the tiniest discrepancies in a story or a spreadsheet. Their gift is the ability to categorize and organize chaos, making them excellent researchers or crisis managers. Capricorn, serious, disciplined, and cautious. They treat secrets like a business. This placement often indicates a high level of mental endurance and an aptitude for managing deep, long-term investments or ancestral histories. The air signs, the objective observers. Gemini, a dual-track mind that can juggle multiple secrets at once. They are the most likely to talk about taboo subjects, bringing a sense of detached curiosity to the dark side of life. They may be collectors of forbidden knowledge. Libra focuses the 8th house energy on the contracts of relationships. They are experts at analyzing the power dynamics between people. They seek mental balance and fairness even in the midst of intense emotional upheaval. Aquarius, the mad scientist of the 8th house. They have a detached, almost clinical interest in the strange or the macabre. They look for the systemic or scientific roots of the psyche and may have very unconventional views on intimacy. The water signs, the intuitive sponges. Cancer, the mind is deeply tied to emotional safety and family secrets. They feel the truth before they think it. They are incredibly protective of their private thoughts and may have a powerful, psychic connection to their ancestors. Scorpio, Mercury is in its element here, by house affinity. This is the most intense placement, supernaturally perceptive, potentially obsessive, and capable of profound psychological transformation. They see everything. Pisces, the boundaries of the mind are porous. They communicate through symbols, dreams, and metaphors. This placement often leads to a deep interest in mediumship or the spiritual aspects of death, though they may struggle with mental clarity. The transit of Mercury through the 8th house is a brief but potent period where the mind shifts from surface-level observations to deep-sea diving. While a natal placement describes a permanent personality trait, the transit represents a temporary investigative phase that everyone cycles through periodically. It is a time when the universe hands you a magnifying glass and a shovel, asking you to look at the parts of your life that usually remain in the dark. The shift to mental intensity. When Mercury enters the 8th house, the quality of your thoughts changes. You may find that small talk feels particularly hollow or even irritating. Your brain is no longer satisfied with what or how, it wants to know why. This is a prime time for psychological breakthroughs. If you have been avoiding a difficult conversation or a complex emotional issue, this transit provides the mental sharpness and verbal precision needed to address it. You are less likely to be fooled by others during this time, as your BS detector is tuned to its highest frequency. Financial and contractual audits. On a more mundane level, the 8th house governs shared resources, debts, and taxes. When Mercury transits this area, it often brings a focus on logistics of debt. You might find yourself organizing loans, analyzing credit card statements, or negotiating better terms. Shared assets. This is an ideal window for discussing finances with a partner or clarifying who owns what. Legal documents. It is a common time for wills, inheritances, or insurance policies to demand your attention. Because Mercury moves quickly, this transit usually highlights a need for clarity in these complex areas. It's a cleanup phase for the fine print of your life. Unearthing the taboo. Mercury is the messenger, and in the 8th house, the messages often come from the underworld. This can manifest as secrets coming to light. You might discover something hidden, or feel a sudden urge to confess a secret of your own to lighten your mental load. Interest in the occult. A sudden fascination with astrology, psychology, or the mysteries of life and death is common. You are mentally brave enough during this transit to look at the shadow side of existence without flinching. Intimate communication. Conversations with loved ones can become incredibly raw. This transit is less about romance and more about soul-level honesty. The Mercury retrograde factor. If Mercury happens to go retrograde while in your 8th house, the intensity doubles. This isn't just an investigation, it's a cold case reopening. You may have to reevaluate a past trauma, correct a financial error from months ago, or deal with ghosts from your past who reappear to settle an emotional debt. While it can feel heavy, the goal is total mental purgation, clearing out the mental clutter so you can move forward unburdened. Summary of the transit. The Mercury 8th house transit is your annual, or semi-annual, mental deep clean. It asks you to be a detective in your own life. By the time Mercury exits into the 9th house, the goal is for you to feel mentally lighter, having transformed scary unknowns into understood facts. It is a period of intellectual alchemy, turning the lead of hidden fears into the gold of self-awareness. Subscribe, like, and share.